Is Dave Canales coaching for his job already? Dave Canales of the Carolina Panthers, head coach. He has coached 2 games. 2. He's 0-2, but he's coached 2 games. Is he already to the point where his decisions have to be made with what's more likely to keep my job than what's best for the future of this franchise? Because not always do those 2 things line up. When you have a coach that's coaching for his job, it's not always, hey, I'm going to keep doing the long play thing. Sometimes it's, all right, let's cut some young guys, bring some veterans in. We got to win now. We got to cut or bench the 23-year-old project and put in a 36-year-old proven guy who's more likely to make the next 3 games more palatable to appease my boss. That's just a hypothetical, though. On its face, I think asking this question is dumb. Right? Just on the surface, right out there in the open, is a guy that's only coached 2 games already coaching for his job? On its face, that's stupid. But is it?
When you're dealing with David Tepper, none of it's stupid.
The Bryce Young move seems like a save my job move. It's rash. It's a very, very obvious departure from everything that we've been told. It's a complete 180. It seems like a save my job move. And my original thought was it has to be way too early for that. It has to be way too early for that. But then you start, thinking and you go, well, Frank Reich only got 11 games. Canales has already coached 2. Let's not do on-air math, but let's go ahead and use our computer here. That is 18, roughly 0.2%. So Canales has already coached 18.2% of the games that Frank Reich coached in his entire run as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Dave Canales has not been as good as Frank Reich through the first, we'll call it 5th, right? We'll round. Through the first 1/5 of their coaching, meaning Frank Reich's entire coaching tenure. Frank Reich was outscored through 2 games last year. They were both 0-2, right? And I guess, inch or a mile, it doesn't matter. But I think you'll understand what I'm getting at here. Frank Reich was outscored through 2 games. 44-27. Even had a 1 possession loss in there.
Yeah, lost early. I think it was 24-10 to Atlanta. Then the next week on the road at New Orleans in week 2.
Exactly. 44-27. Dave Canales has been outscored 73-13 through 2 games.
Bruh.
So if you are Dave Canales, let's put yourself in those very optimistic shoes. If you are Dave Canales, you're seeing a guy that was performing better than you up to this point not make it to the third third of the season. He didn't make it past week 11 of a 17-game season. Mm-hmm. Frank Reich had just watched Matt Rule get 2.5 years. So he didn't have the Tepper threat on his mind as much. He probably at this point was still operating with they'll have patience with me. It's going to take a while to figure it out. I know we haven't started the way we wanted, but Matt Rule got 2.5 years. Dave Canales knows the deal. He knows what kind of owner he's dealing with. He knows what kind of owner David Tepper is. This is what we're going to have a billion conversations about David Tepper right up until he sells the team, whenever that is. Here's my main problem with David Tepper. I think he gets embarrassed. I think when the Panthers are bad, or when they act dysfunctional, or when they stick to their guns on something, he gets embarrassed and he goes, this can't happen. We need to make major changes. He's the owner that went into the restaurant that was making fun of him on their little message board outside. He's the owner that threw the drink. He gets hurt by words. And what has been happening the first 2 weeks of this year? There's been a lot of mean things said about the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, his ego is very frail.
It's if he thinks Dave Canales is somebody that is opening him up to scrutiny, how long does he get? And how ridiculous is that? How impossible is it to get anyone to commit to that organization? 2 games in. 2. He's already making moves. We don't know why he made them, but he's already making moves that look like I need to save my job moves. Because if you think you have 2 years, right? If you think you have 2.5 years, if you think you have the commitment from ownership to have a little job security, why not make the move to Andy Dalton 4 weeks in, 6 weeks in? Why do it now? You gave him all the preseason reps. Practice reps, not game reps. You gave him all of the opportunities, meaning Bryce Young. Why not see it through for the first month? If not for time is of the essence. If not for, well, if I wait a month, I'm up to darn near 40% of the games Frank Reich got. And then we're sneaking up on 50. Chris Canty, ESPN, we played this earlier. We'll play it for you again. He thinks David Tepper is the problem with everything going on in Carolina.
When you just start to look at the impetuous decisions that owner David Tepper has made, you got to call him the genesis of the problem. He's the issue with the Carolina Panthers. They are the worst run franchise in all of pro sports. It can't be all on the head coaches and it can't be all on the quarterbacks. Hell, we got proof of concept that some of these guys can actually play. How does Baker Mayfield look with the Tampa Bay Bucks?
Pretty good.
Sam Darnold look pretty damn good. At some point, you have to address the source of the dysfunction that's not allowing you to get the best out of your people in the franchise, and that is the owner.
Except you're not. Chris Canty, at some point you have to address the root of the problem, which is the owner, except there's one thing that won't be addressed. The owner. The owner doesn't have a boss. The owner answers to no one. You just have to live in their world if you work for them. Dave Canales works for David Tepper. I'm of the belief 2 games in, that's already affecting his decision-making process. He's already operating differently because David Tepper is his owner than he would if just about anyone else was his owner. I saw somebody that said, like this was on Twitter, and I forget who it was. I apologize for not crediting you. It said, the only thing I hope for Dave Canales as a professional is that during the interview process, he got a guarantee from David Tepper to get a chance to do it with his handpicked quarterback, right? You only hope that Dave Canales has that, at least a handshake and a look in the eye of, before you let me go, let me try it with someone I get to choose because I didn't choose Bryce. If he had that commitment, which, by the way, I think that's a fair thing to ask for in your interview process.
Sure.
But also, if I were David Tepper, I probably wouldn't hire the guy that asked for that because I'm going, no. I'm looking for somebody that can save Bryce. I don't want somebody planning for what if he doesn't work out. But I think that's a fair thing to ask for. If he had that, I think he'd see it through with Bryce a little bit more because he'd know I'm going to see this offseason anyway. Because he'd know I'm going to get to go choose my guy anyway. So let's see who the lottery ticket might be. It's all inferring. We're reading tea leaves here. We're not inside that building. We don't know what happens in the Dave and Dave meets when Canales and Tepper get together. But I think Dave Canales is trying to, manage. What's the line from Moneyball from the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman? I'm trying to manage this club in a way I can explain in job interviews next winter. Mm-hmm. I think Dave Canales might be managing this club in a way that could potentially keep his job this upcoming offseason.